Hey, Professor. So this is my portfolio challenge for the slot machine. So I'll show you how it works first, and then we can dive into how I approach tackling this problem. So if I play it, you hit this GUI button, and then you get the result of the slot machine. I was feeling generous, so I had the user win. So essentially, the very first thing that I knew I wanted to do, or first that I built was the each slot component. So I had a cube, and then I knew that I wanted to have the sides be different, obviously. Um, and the first challenge I encountered was having a material only display on one side. So if we can take a look at this, we can take a look at this middle one. So if I rotate this cube around, we have the winning seven, the banana, the watermelon, and the cherry. So how I did that is I decided to use quads. And I chose quads instead of planes because quads have two triangles and planes can have, I believe it's 200, I think I read in the Unity manual. So Unity automatically applies materials to all sides of an object. That's done because of the automatic UV mapping. So I could have gone into Blender and saved the cube there and done UV mapping differently, but instead I chose to go with the quads. So um, I had to adjust it. So on each quad, I can take you through each quad. So we have one is the banana, one has the banana material, one has the watermelon, one has a seven or cherry in the seven. So those are on different sides, and I just did that by doing rotations. Um, so another problem that I had is because quads are so thin, and it's going to be spinning so fast. I knew that I didn't want to have it exactly on the cube, so I did just a slight transform. So it would be like 0.01 off from the cube, which you can't tell, but it prevents the Unity from freaking out. So it's not exactly aligned there. And then I had to get rid of the mesh collider on the quad instead, but I kept it on the cube because I knew that I had to do like transformations and stuff. And if at some point I wanted to do physics, we would be doing physics on the whole cube, not the quad. So that was how I approached building these. And then the other component of this would be the GUI. So in the GUI, I decided to try and make it like casino themed, which is why it's red and green. So here I knew that on click, I wanted to have each cube run a function called spin cube, which I handled in a script called rotate cube, or yes, rotate cube. So in rotate cube, basically I defined all my variables. I knew that I was going to have to do a transform operation about the Z angle. So in there, I made a coroutine, which was the point of the portfolio, was so essentially I ran an enumerator so that the coroutine was basically while the timer was greater than zero, it would perform this transform, which is spinning the cube, and it would decrease the timer for every time that it was checked. And then obviously you had that important, you would return null. Um, so for each cube, I had I had different, so I'm sorry, let me find it. I had different timers. And so for instance, on cube two, I had to attach the script to it. I gave it a timer of 10 because it's the one far on the left. And another challenge for me was trying to find the correct rotations for it to land on like the matching sevens because I wanted it to look more realistic rather than having them all start and all end on the same pictures. So I assumed that if I performed like 90-degree operations, that it would be fine, but that proved not to be true. So I had to get a little like tricky with it, just with trial and error. Um, so for instance, on cube 2, the far left, we have 450 Z angle, and then for some of them, like this is like 500, and this is 450 again. So that's how you get that look of having different speeds. And then you have the different stopping times because there are different timer times where they're about 6, 8, and 10 seconds. So I think this was an overall good exercise in doing event handlers like the button on click, and to having customizable 3D game objects, because you usually don't want each side of the object to be looking exactly the same. You want them to be a little more specific to your game. So thank you for watching. This was a fun little challenge. Definitely my favorite that I have on my first 4.